My child, stop what you are doing right now. Not because danger is approaching, not because I need you to brace for impact, but because something shifted before you pressed play, and I need you to know what it was. This message was not easy to find. Something was working against it, reaching you. Something in the unseen moved to intercept the signal, to delay the moment, to keep this word from landing where it was always meant to land. But you opened it. That one decision, that single act of pausing and pressing play when 100 other things were competing for your hand. I want you to know that decision was already recorded in heaven before you made it. You did not stumble into this moment. You were delivered here, and the fact that you are still here with me right now is already the beginning of what I need to show you. Most people will scroll past this. You did not. That is not an accident, my child. That was already decided before you pressed play. I know what you have been carrying, not in the way that people who observe you from the outside know, and not in the abstract way of someone watching from a distance. I know what lives in you when the lights go out and the room gets quiet, and the version of you that manages the day is finally allowed to rest. I know the restlessness that has no name yet. The thing you carry in your chest that is not quite grief and not quite fear, but sits somewhere between them. Unnamed and persistent and heavier some mornings than others. You have been living with it long enough that you have nearly stopped asking what it is. You have begun to move around it the way you move around furniture that has always been there, without expecting it to change, without expecting someone to come and finally tell you what it means. My child, I am here to tell you what it means. And the meaning is not what the enemy has been whispering to you in the quiet hours. That restlessness has a name, and its name is assignment. What you have been carrying in your chest, that unnamed weight, that low persistent sense of something building in the unseen that has not yet become visible in the seen, that is not anxiety. It is not evidence of a malfunctioning mind or a spiritual life that has lost its way. That restlessness is the sound, my beloved, of a security detail being assembled. Before a person of significance moves into a new territory, preparation happens in the unseen. Orders are given, positions are taken. The infrastructure of what is coming is built before the one who is coming ever knows they are in motion. You have been sensing the preparation without knowing what was being prepared. You have been feeling the weight of something being made ready for you without knowing what was being made ready. The unnamed restlessness in your chest is not a malfunction. It is a signal, and the signal says, heaven has already begun. If your chest tightens slightly just reading those words, if something in your body noticed before your mind could form a response to it, do not dismiss that. That is not a random physical reaction. That is your spirit recognizing the truth of what I am speaking over you before your mind has fully processed it. Your body knows things before your thoughts catch up, my child. That settling, that tightening, that small shift in the center of your chest, that is the part of you that has been waiting for someone to say this out loud. Stay with me, do not skip ahead. The word I am carrying for you in this message is the exact answer to the question you have been carrying for longer than you have been able to name. If something in your chest just settled, type, I feel it shifting. Type it as the recognition it actually is, because when you type it, heaven reads it not as a comment, but as your agreement with the reality already being assembled around your next chapter. You are not hoping for something that might come. You are naming something that has already begun. Now let me speak to what I saw when no one else was watching, because this matters in ways you have not understood yet, and the understanding of it is going to change the way you read this entire season you have just moved through. There was a moment, my child, that no one witnessed. A moment when you honored something that you could have abandoned without consequence. No one would have known. There was no audience for the choice, no one watching, no one to report what you did, no one to celebrate it, no one to document it. The only witness was you and me. You did the right thing when the only one who knew was God. And that moment, which felt at the time like nothing more than a private decision that carried no particular weight, that quiet faithfulness, my beloved, was a signal flare. It shot straight up into heaven, and the moment it arrived, heaven began to move. What you did when no one was watching did not delay you. It qualified you. Let me say that again with the weight it deserves. What you did in the hidden place The thing you honored when abandoning it would have cost you nothing visible. That act of faithfulness was not neutral. It was not small. It was the thing heaven had been waiting to see, because the kind of assignment I am about to place in your hands cannot go into hands that only perform faithfulness when someone is looking. The level of what is coming requires a different kind of character. A character that has been tested in the absence of an audience and found to be real. Your hidden faithfulness was real, my child. It was the test you did not know you were taking, and you passed it. And heaven received the signal and began to build the book of Psalms. Chapter 91 verse 11 says that I will command my angels concerning you, not around you in general, concerning you specifically. My child, read the precision of that language, concerning you. That means heaven received a specific briefing about your life. Not a general awareness, a specific briefing. Your name was given. Your situation was named. Your assignment was communicated. A security detail is not dispatched for empty fields. You do not build a perimeter around something that does not matter. You do not assign angels concerning someone who is not carrying something significant. The security being assembled around your next chapter is proportional to the weight of what is coming into your hands, and the weight is considerable. What you are about to carry requires protection that matches it, and I have already given the order type. God saw what I did when no one else did. Type it as the acknowledgement it is, my child, because your hidden faithfulness deserves to be named. Not because you need anyone to know, but because what you declare in agreement with what heaven already recorded, you make more real in your own understanding. You saw something. I saw it too. The record has it, and the record does not expire. Let me now speak to you about the silence, because there has been a silence in your life in this season. Not just the ordinary quiet of a life moving at its normal pace, but a specific, weighted kind of silence. The silence of things not yet manifested. The silence of prayers that seem to travel upward and land nowhere. The silence of a season that was promised to turn but has not yet. In any way your natural eyes can see, begun to turn. And in that silence, the enemy has been doing his most consistent work. He has been filling the quiet with a suggestion that the silence means abandonment, that the quiet is the sound of heaven's indifference, that if something significant were truly building around your life, there would be more visible evidence of it by now. He is a liar, my child, and this is the lie he tells most fluently to the ones I am positioning, because the lie is most believable precisely at the moment when the visible evidence is most sparse, which is always, always, always the moment right before everything changes. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is the sound of a security detail being assembled. It is the sound of positions being taken in the unseen before the manifestation arrives in the scene. The quiet you have been living in is not the quiet of neglect. It is the quiet of a room being prepared. And when a room is being prepared for something significant, it is cleared before it is filled. The clearing feels like emptiness. The clearing feels like loss. The clearing feels like the evidence that nothing is coming because everything familiar has been removed. But the clearing is the preparation. And what is coming to fill the cleared space is so much larger than what was there before, that if I had not cleared it, there would have been no room for what is coming in. Type. The silence was protection all along. Type it as the truth it is, because when you name the silence correctly, you stop fighting the preparation and begin to cooperate with it. And cooperation with the preparation is how the gap between the building and the arrival closes. My child, there is something I need to say to you about the people who could not tolerate what you are becoming. Because there have been people in your life, or on the edges of your life, who began to behave in ways that felt irrational. Relationships that seemed to cool without clear cause. Dynamics that shifted in ways you could not fully explain. Pushback that did not seem proportional to anything you had done. And you have spent time in this season turning that over in your mind, trying to find the reasonable explanation, the thing you might have done to provoke it, the adjustment you could make to restore what was lost. My beloved, I need you to stop that work. Not because you are above examination, but because the explanation you are searching for has nothing to do with your history and everything to do with your trajectory. People can tolerate the old predictable version of you. They have built their relationship to you on the foundation of who you were before this season began. They knew the person who minimized herself to make others comfortable. They knew the person who bent their boundaries when the pressure was applied. They knew the person who absorbed the cost of other people's dysfunction rather than naming it. That version was familiar to them. That version was manageable. But you have been changing, my beloved, quietly and persistently, in the hidden place where no one was watching. Your healing has been making their wounds loud. Your growth has been making their stagnation visible in ways they cannot bear. Your refusal to continue absorbing what you were never designed to carry has destabilized the dynamic they had built around your willingness to hold it. This is why the opposition has felt irrational. It is not about anything you did wrong. It is about who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is exactly who I designed you to be before the world told you to be smaller. The pushback is not about your history. It is about your trajectory. And the intensity of the pushback is information. It tells you the size of the destiny they are responding to before you have fully stepped into it. Now, my child, I need to say something to you that requires you to stay very still inside yourself while I say it. I need to say it because there is a pattern in your life that has been masquerading as a virtue, and I will not allow it to follow you into the next season. The pattern is self-erasure, and I need you to hear the difference between what self-erasure is and what it is not, because the difference is not obvious from inside the pattern. There is a difference between lowering yourself before me and lowering yourself before people who were never meant to define you. One is surrender. The other is slow spiritual suffocation. That sentence needs to sit in you, my beloved. Let it land before you keep reading. One is surrender. The other is slow spiritual suffocation. Self-erasure disguises itself beautifully. It says, I do not want problems. It says, I am just being low-key. It says, I am not trying to offend anyone. And from a certain angle, in a certain light, it looks exactly like the fruit of a mature and humble spirit. It looks like peace. It looks like gentleness. It looks like the kind of self-denial that spiritual people aspire to. But my child, there is a world of difference between what self-erasure is and what it pretends to be. True surrender makes you soft toward me and strong against darkness. It makes you pliable in my hands and immovable in the face of what opposes my work in you. Self-erasure does the opposite. It makes you quiet toward darkness and distant from me. It makes you easy to manage and impossible to truly reach. It is the enemy's preferred counterfeit of surrender, because it looks so much like it on the surface that the person inside the pattern cannot always see the difference. I did not ask you to disappear. The enemy did. He tempts you toward invisibility not because you are not valuable, but because you are. That invisibility he has been constructing in you, the quiet shrinking, the reflexive minimizing, the automatic deference, the habit of making yourself small so that others do not feel challenged by your size, none of that came from me. It came from a wound. The wound told you that your worth was conditional on how little trouble you caused. The wound told you that being easy was more valuable than being honest. The wound told you that love was something you earned by shrinking and lost if you took up too much space. And you have been living inside that wound's architecture for so long that you began to mistake it for wisdom. My beloved, you will call it peace while your spirit is starving. You will call it maturity while your soul is shrinking. You will call it waiting on me while I am waiting on you to stand up. I am waiting on you to stand up. Let that land, my child. I have been here, watching, ready to move. And the thing I have been waiting for is not more patience from you. The patience you have offered in abundance. The thing I have been waiting for is the moment you decide that the version of you built for other people's comfort is not the version you are carrying into your next chapter. The moment that decision lands in you completely, the security detail already assembled around your next season will have someone to protect. Type. I choose surrender over shrinking. Type it as a declaration, my child, because declarations shift the atmosphere in the room where they are spoken. When you choose surrender over shrinking, you choose me over the wound. You choose the person I made over the person the pain built. You choose the life I designed over the version that was built to keep others comfortable at the cost of your own becoming. Stay with me in this space, my child. Every time you return here, you are choosing to sit with the truth about who you are. I will keep meeting you here, with the words your spirit needs before your mind knows to ask for them. Hit the subscribe button below. Not because you need another channel, but because you need a place where heaven speaks your name clearly and does not apologize for it. This is that place. Stay, and bring someone with you who needs to hear what you just heard. Now I want to speak to you about the hidden victories. Because there have been victories in your life that had no audience. Battles you fought in rooms no one entered with you. Lions you faced without a platform for the courage it cost you. Bears you encountered without anyone there to witness the obedience that carried you through. My child, think of David. He was in the field. He was working. No one was watching his faithfulness. And no one was there to see the lion come. And no one was there to see him kill it. And no one was there to see the bear. And no one recorded those victories in any human archive. But I watched every battle. And here is what I want you to understand, beloved, about what that watching was actually doing. Every hidden victory David won in the field was building something the throne would later require: capacity, restraint, discernment. The particular kind of heart that can hold both applause and betrayal without being undone by either. The field builds that. The hidden place builds that. Obscurity is not the obstacle to your destiny. It is the preparation ground for it. Every battle you fought without an audience built something in you that your assignment is going to require. You did not know what was being built because you could not see the throne from the field. From the field it looked like ordinary difficulty with no particular purpose. But from where I stood, every hidden victory was adding to the capacity that the position requires. And the position I am moving you toward requires exactly what the hidden battles have been building. The qualifications were being assembled in the place no one could see. Hidden faithfulness is not wasted faithfulness. It is the most efficient kind, because in the hidden place the only audience is the one that matters. Your hidden faithfulness is in the record. Every prayer you offered when you had no strength left to form full sentences. Every morning you chose forward movement when staying down was easier. Every time you honored something no one would have noticed if you had abandoned it. Every night you went to sleep without your answer and still chose to trust in the morning. That faithfulness is not floating in the air somewhere, unattached, irrelevant to what comes next. It is in the record. The record does not lie. The record does not expire. And the record is now the legal ground upon which heaven is authorized to move. Now, my beloved, I want to speak to you about something that has been in you as long as pain has been in your story. There is a survival self, and I need you to see it clearly, because it cannot carry what I am now placing in your hands. There is a self you built in survival mode, a self that learned to read a room before entering it, scanning for threat, for the mood that needed to be managed, for the person who needed to be appeased. A self that became hyper-independent because you learned, at a cost you still carry, that you could not trust anyone to stay when the staying became inconvenient. A self that learned to perform excellence because love felt conditional on your output, on your usefulness, on the quality of what you could produce for the people around you. A self that learned to be easy, agreeable, accommodating, because being honest had consequences, and the consequences were ones you had already paid once and were not willing to pay again. A self that learned to anticipate disappointment before it arrived, so that when it came, it would not have the full force of surprise to wound you with. A self that learned to accept crumbs because asking for bread felt like too much, like an imposition, like the kind of request that reveals how much you need and therefore how much you can be hurt. A self that learned to make peace with the minimum because hoping for more had let you down enough times that the hope itself began to feel like the danger. My child, that self cannot carry what I am now placing in your hands. You cannot enter a new season with an old operating system. I need you to understand this not as a criticism of what you built, but as an honest assessment of its limitations. What you built was built to survive, and it was effective for survival. It kept you moving through seasons that would have broken you otherwise. It allowed you to function in environments that were not designed for your flourishing. It served you, but serving you in the old season does not qualify it to serve you in the new one. What was armor in the old season is a cage in the new one, and I will not send you into what I have prepared for you wearing the cage as though it were protection. Your greatest obstacle has not been the enemy. It has been your agreement with a version of yourself that I have already moved past. The old self argues. It presents its logic. It reminds you of every time you trusted and got hurt, every time you hoped and were disappointed, every time you opened your hands and what you were given was not what was offered. And it speaks to you, beloved, in your own voice. That is why it is so hard to recognize. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like caution. It sounds like the voice of someone who has learned from experience and is protecting you from being naive again. But it is not wisdom. It is the voice of a past self that has outlived its season. It is the voice of Egypt trying to keep you out of Canaan. It is the voice of the place you survived trying to prevent you from arriving at the place you were made for. Moses was in the wilderness when I called him. He had reasons. Good reasons. I cannot speak, he said. I am not the person for this. Send someone else. These were not the lies of a coward. They were the logical conclusions of a man who had been through enough to know how things go when you step forward and it goes wrong. But Moses, my beloved, was arguing from the data of his past self, while I was speaking from the data of his destined self. The self I was calling had not yet been born. The self I was calling could only become through the obedience. I do not call the qualified. I qualify the called, and the calling always goes out before the qualification is visible. Survival mode is not armor. It is a cage you learn to decorate. You put beautiful things in it. You made it comfortable. You learned its dimensions so well that you stopped noticing the bars. But it is still a cage, and you were not made for a cage. You were made for the open field of the assignment I have been building toward you since before you drew your first breath. If something in your chest loosened reading that list, if something in you recognized itself in the portrait of the survival self, if a small relief moved through you because someone finally said the thing you have been living inside without having words for it, type "that was me." I release it now. Type it as the releasing it is. Because when you name the thing you have been agreeing with, you begin to break the agreement. You cannot release what you have not named. Name it and release it, my child. There is someone in your life right now who is still wearing the survival self like armor, still calling the cage safety, still reading a room before entering it because no one has yet spoken over them. What I am speaking over you in this moment, I want you to sow a seed today, not for yourself, but on their behalf. Not as a transaction, but as an act of faith that says, what you are doing in me, you are willing to do in them too. The same hand assembling security around my next chapter has not forgotten theirs. The same record that holds my hidden faithfulness holds theirs. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on the screen, and sow that seed in the name of someone still waiting to hear their name spoken clearly by heaven. I will meet that seed with what only I can give. Now I want to tell you what I see when I look at what your survival self has been doing with your wounds. My child, there is a wound that has not fully healed. You know the one. You do not have to bring it forward right now, but you know which one I mean. The thing you almost never bring up in conversation. The betrayal that made you question your own discernment, that shook the ground of your judgment, and made you wonder whether you could trust your own perception of people. The abandonment that questioned your worth, that said in its departure that you were not enough to make someone stay. The rejection that planted the lie that love must be earned, that your presence is never automatically welcome, that you have to justify your place in every room you enter. The wound is still there, beloved. Your body knows it even when your mind can describe it factually without crying. You can give a clear account of it. You can summarize it without the tears coming. But your body still braces in certain conversations. Your shoulders still carry it in certain rooms. Your sleep still knows it in certain seasons. What you do not name, you cannot truly surrender. What you do not acknowledge, you cannot fully heal. Delayed healing does not disappear, my child. It does not go away because you learned to manage it, because you built your life around it, because you became skilled at functioning in spite of it. Delayed healing leaks. It leaks into your tone in conversations that have nothing to do with the wound. It leaks into your decisions, making you choose from fear rather than from freedom. It leaks into your relationships, making you interpret what the people in front of you are doing through the lens of what the people who hurt you did. And most painfully, My beloved, delayed healing leaks into your theology. Unhealed wounds make you interpret me through the face of the person who hurt you. They make you flinch away from my closeness, because closeness was the thing that was used against you. They make you doubt my care when I am quiet, because quiet was what preceded abandonment in the original wound. You bring the face of the one who hurt you into the room where I am standing, and you see me through their eyes. And what you see makes you afraid of the very thing you most need. My child, think of Jacob. He came to me wrestling. He came not with reverence, but with desperation, with the full weight of his own striving and his own fear and his need for a blessing so intense that he would not let go even when it cost him something. And I did not send him away. I stayed in the wrestle with him, and then I struck his hip, the place of his strength, the place where Jacob's particular confidence lived, the stride of the man who had always found a way to work the situation to his advantage. And he came in as Jacob, which means heel grabber, the one who supplants, the one who operates through manipulation and cunning and the relentless engineering of his own outcomes. And he came out as Israel, which means one who wrestles with God. He came out marked, limping different. And the limp was not a punishment. It was proof. It was the physical mark of an encounter with me that was real enough to change something that could not be changed by information alone. The limp was not his weakness. It was his evidence. Some of what you have been ashamed of is not your weakness, my child. It is your evidence. It is the mark of a person who engaged with me at the deepest level and refused to let go. The wound that made you limp is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that something happened to you that was real enough to require a genuine encounter with me, and the encounter that the wound required has been producing in you something that the wound alone could not have produced. A capacity for compassion that comes only from having needed compassion yourself. A depth of understanding that comes only from having needed to be understood and found yourself without anyone to provide it. An authority that comes only from having fought for something in the hidden place without witnesses and not turned back. The limp is not your flaw, my beloved. The limp is your evidence, and the world you are entering is going to see the evidence and understand, even if they do not know exactly what they are seeing, that you have been somewhere that not everyone has been. Type, my wound is my evidence, not my weakness. Type it as the reclaiming of what was stolen, because the enemy took your limp and told you it was proof of your disqualification. But I am telling you it is the proof of your encounter. And in the economy of my kingdom, the one who has wrestled with God and carries the mark of that wrestling does not go to the back of the room. They go to the front. Now I must speak directly about what is happening to the ones who tried to keep you small. Because this section matters, my child, and I want you to stay present for it, not because I want to stoke bitterness in you, but because there is a justice dimension to your story that you have been afraid to claim, and the fear of claiming it is part of what the survival self built to keep you safe. But justice is not revenge. Justice is revelation. And what is being revealed is not about your enemies. It is about your assignment. There are people who watched you carefully in this season, not with love, with calculation. They saw the shift beginning in you, the slow loosening of the old compliance, the gradual return of something that the wound had compressed, and they moved to contain it. They used words. They used silence. They used the architecture of relationship to apply pressure to the places they knew were still tender. They told you who you were in the voice of someone who has authority to define it. They positioned you, categorized you, assigned you a ceiling, and then proceeded to treat you according to the ceiling, rather than according to the truth. And you, my child, in the old operating system, absorbed it, because the survival self had learned that containment was safer than expansion, that being seen meant being targeted, that the cost of showing your full size was greater than the cost of staying small. What they did not know, my beloved, was that they were working against a plan they had not been briefed on. They were making calculations based on who you were before this season began, without knowing that this season was the season of your repositioning. They built their strategy around a version of you that I have already moved past. And a strategy built around an outdated target does not arrive at its intended destination. It arrives at the opposite one. The world that overlooked you will not be able to look away. The ones who place the ceiling will witness the ceiling removed. The same mouths that reduced you to a manageable category will be the mouths that have no category adequate for what you become. This is not about their punishment, my child. I am not operating in the economy of punishment here. I am operating in the economy of revelation. The same world that could not see you will see you. Not because you campaigned for it, not because you argued for your worth, but because I will shine a light on what was always there, and light, when turned on, does not ask permission before illuminating. What was hidden in obscurity becomes visible in the light, and the light is coming. The ones who misread you will be made to reckon with what they could not read. The ones who whispered against you in the dark will find their whispers returning to them in the full volume of what they were sent to prevent. Every trap set with your name attached to it has been finding its way back to the hands that set it. You did not need to do anything for this to happen. You only needed to remain, and you have remained. And the reversal is already in motion. Proverbs 26:27 says, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it." My child, this is not poetry. This is the mechanics of the universe I designed. What is sent with the intention of harm, when it meets the protection of my hand over your life, does not settle where it was aimed. It reverses, and the reversal carries the full force of what launched it. You do not need to watch for this with satisfaction. You do not need to stand at the window looking for it. Simply keep building the life I am building in you, and when the reversal becomes visible, you will see it from the healthy distance of someone who has already moved on. Justice is not your burden to carry. It was never your assignment. Your assignment is to step fully into what I have positioned you for, with your hands clean and your eyes forward. The justice is mine, and I am more thorough than any human defense could ever be. Now I want to speak to you about Elijah, because you need this, my child. You need to know that you can have a victory and still feel vulnerable. You can have a moment of fire and still crawl into a cave. Elijah had called down fire from heaven. He had stood against hundreds alone. He had seen the impossible happen through his obedience. And then he ran. He ran and sat under a tree and said to me, "It is enough." He was done. He was exhausted. He was afraid. He was convinced that he was the only one left. And I did not rebuke him for the fear. I did not lecture him on the inconsistency of a prophet who calls down fire in the morning and collapses in despair by evening. I fed him. I let him sleep. I touched him and let him sleep again. And then, in the cave where he had run to hide, I asked him a question. What are you doing here? Not a rebuke, an invitation. I was not shaming Elijah for being in the cave. My beloved, I was meeting him in the cave. And his answer was raw and honest and unpolished, as the best answers to my questions always are. He said, "I am the only one left, and they are trying to kill me." He told me his pain exactly as it was, not dressed, not managed, not delivered in the careful language of someone who wants to appear appropriately faithful in a crisis. He gave me the actual thing, and I showed him that his pain had lied to him about his aloneness. 7,000, I told him. 7,000 who had not bowed. 7,000 he did not know about. 7,000 who were in the story without his knowing. Your isolation is not abandonment, my child. Your isolation is the interrogation of the most loving kind in the cave. The question I ask you is not a rebuke. It is an invitation. It is my way of drawing out the honest thing you have been carrying, so that you can finally put it down. The pain you have been carrying in this season has told you lies about your aloneness. It has told you that you are the only one who has been through this, the only one who has not seen the visible movement, the only one left still waiting while everyone else has already arrived. The pain lied. You are not alone in the cave. I am in the cave, and in the cave is where I do some of my most deliberate work, because in the cave the noise is gone and the performance is impossible, and the only thing left is the raw, honest thing, which is the only thing I can actually work with. After the wind and the earthquake and the fire, the still small voice. My child, after everything loud has passed, I speak in the quiet, and what I speak in the quiet is not the summary of your crisis. It is the answer to it, but the answer can only be heard in the stillness that the cave provides. The cave is not the end of your story. The cave is where the still small voice finds you, and once it finds you, It will give you what you need to rise and walk the road that is still ahead of you. Because there is road ahead, my beloved. The cave is not the last stop. It is the rest stop, and when you leave it, you will not leave it the same type. The pain lied to me. God never left. Type it as the release of a lie you have been carrying too long. When you type it, you are not agreeing with a sentiment. You are breaking an agreement with a false narrative that the enemy constructed from your pain. Break the agreement. Say it. The pain lied. I never left. There is someone on your heart right now as you read these words. Someone whose face came to you somewhere in this message. Someone still in their cave, still wearing the survival self as armor. Someone whose wound has been speaking louder than my voice in their season. Sending this to them is not a small thing. It is an act of obedience. Because the moment they hear their name spoken by heaven, something in them will break open, not with grief, with recognition. They need to know they are not alone in the cave. They need to know the restlessness has a name. They need to know the hidden faithfulness was seen. Let what you receive today reach them. Share this with that person. You are the instrument I have already chosen to carry this word to them. My child, I want to speak now about something I am already seeing on your behalf. A name that has not yet been spoken over you but is already being prepared. Because you did not quit in the cave. Because you brought me the honest thing. Because you stayed in the wrestle and did not let go until the blessing came. Because you stayed in this message with me past the point where staying was easy. Something is being released specifically for those who remain. Not for everyone. For those who remained. And you are still here because you have stayed this far. What I am releasing now is specifically for those who held on. Not everyone received this. You did, and what I am releasing is not a feeling. It is a positioning. The security being assembled around your next chapter is not conditional on your composure. It is not contingent on your having eliminated every remnant of the old operating system before I move you forward. It is contingent on my word, and my word over your life has already been spoken. It does not wait for you to have it all together. It goes ahead of you. It clears the way. It speaks into the room before you arrive in it. And when you arrive, the room has already been prepared by what I said about you before you came through the door. Now I want to lead you into a declaration, my beloved. But before I do, I want to tell you why the declaration matters. It is not performance. I do not need your recitation. The declaration matters because the words you speak with conviction. You are agreeing with what I have already determined. And when you come into agreement with what I have already determined, the gap between what I have determined and what you are walking in closes. Your agreement is not what creates the reality, but your agreement is what opens the door through which the reality enters your experience. So this is not empty words. This is you choosing with your will and your voice and your presence to stand in alignment with what I have said, and alignment is the last piece. Repeat after me, my child, in the quiet of wherever you are. I release the version of me that was built in survival mode. I break agreement with every label placed on me by people who could not see what heaven already knew about me. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not disqualified. I am in preparation that has already done its work. The attacks that have come against me are confirmation of my calling, not condemnation of my character. The ones who tried to define my ceiling had no authority to build it. The assignment on my life was given before they knew my name. I am chosen. I am seen. I am equipped. And the security already assembled around my next chapter is evidence that what I am carrying is worth protecting. Type. I am not behind. I am being built. Type it as the present tense reality it is, not as hope, as fact, as the agreement that closes the gap, as the declaration that heaven is waiting to read your signature on. Now I want to walk you to the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 3, because this is the image I have for you in this moment. The one who meditates on my word day and night shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither, and whatever it does shall prosper. My child, a tree planted by streams does not have to strain toward water. The water is there. The roots find it without the tree having to uproot itself and search. The tree's job is to be planted, to be rooted, to remain where it was placed. and the fruit comes in the season appointed for it, not before, not after, but in the exact timing that the tree's own deep-rootedness has been preparing it for. The leaf does not wither in drought because the roots go deeper than the drought can reach. This is the image. My beloved, not striving, not straining, not the exhausting performance of being enough, rooted deep, drawing from the water that is already there, becoming, in the appointed season, the fruit you were always carrying the seed of. Not hard, rooted, not indifferent, anchored, not brittle with vigilance, flexible with trust. The tree does not fight the wind. It knows its roots. And what is rooted cannot be uprooted by anything that cannot get beneath the root. And nothing in the seen or unseen realm can get beneath the root I have planted in you. Now, my child, because you are still here, I need to say something before the enemy tries to use the fading of this feeling against you. Because the enemy is consistent, he will wait. He will let this moment land, and he will let the feeling that comes with it move through you. And then he will wait for the feeling to fade, which feelings always do. And when the feeling fades, he will send a voice in your own language to tell you that the fading of the feeling is proof that none of this was real, that you imagined the shift, that you are still the person you were before you pressed play, and nothing has actually changed. My child, when that voice comes, and it will come, here is the answer. The feeling was never the foundation. Truth is the foundation, and truth does not move when your mood moves. In the next hours and days, the enemy will attempt to plant doubt. Something discouraging may arrive. Something familiar may pull you back toward the old operating system. Someone may say something that triggers the old pattern of shrinking. Do not be afraid. That is not a sign that this was wrong. That is confirmation that this was right, because they know what is coming, and they are trying to intercept it before you step fully into it. When the pushback comes after this moment, read it correctly. The pushback is not evidence of your failure. The pushback is the evidence of your trajectory. Nothing pushes back against a person who is wandering. The resistance comes only when you are moving towards something that the darkness was hoping you would never reach. Because you did not skip this message. Because you stayed when everything around you was pulling for your attention. Because you chose to be still when stillness was the hardest thing to offer. Heaven is releasing something specific into this moment that was held in reserve only for those who remained. What comes next in the coming days was already prepared for you, but it required this moment. It required you to stay, and you stayed. And what was sealed has been opened specifically for you, my child. The record shows you were here. Type, I am chosen. I am seen. I release the cage. Type it as the final declaration of a person who is no longer wearing their survival as armor. You are leaving the old operating system. You are entering the season that the hidden faithfulness built. You are stepping into the security already assembled around what you are about to carry. The cage is not your protection. I am your protection. And the protection I provide is not the protection of a smaller life. It is the protection of a life that is exactly the size it was always meant to be. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." Plans, my child, not improvisation, not a response to crisis, not an emergency intervention. Plans made before you were born, held through every season of your life, never once threatened by the closed doors or the survival mode, or the unnamed weight or the cave or the wound that made you limp. The plan is intact. It was always intact. And the position you are stepping into now is not a revised plan. It is the original plan, the one that was always moving toward this moment, the one that the hidden faithfulness was always building toward, the one the security detail was assembled to protect. You are my child, not in the general sense, in the particular, specific, deliberate sense, chosen before you could do anything to earn it or anything to lose it, known before your first word, assigned before your first wound, prepared in obscurity for a position that was always yours and is now closer than it has ever been. I have walked every step of the long road with you, including the steps you took in the cave, including the steps you took in the survival mode, including the steps you took when the old operating system was the only one available to you and you used it as faithfully as you could. I did not leave you in those steps. I was in them, and I am in this one, and the one that comes after this one, and the one after that. The silence you have been living in was not my absence. It was the sound of the security detail being assembled. The pushback you have been feeling was not evidence of your unworthiness. It was evidence of your trajectory. The wound that made you limp is not your disqualification. It is your proof of encounter. The survival self you have been wearing is not your armor. It is the cage you are leaving behind as you step into the position that was always yours, and the restlessness in your chest that has had no name until tonight has a name now. My child, the name of that restlessness is assignment, and the assignment has already been secured. Now, because you are still here, because you brought your honest self all the way to the end of this conversation, I want to say one more thing. There is a person whose name is on your heart in this moment, the one you have been praying for, the one you have been carrying in your petitions, even when your own questions had no answers. Sow a seed today in the name of that person, not for you, for them, as a declaration of faith on their behalf that the cage is already broken in the spirit, that the survival self is already being replaced, that the security already assigned around their next chapter is real, even if they cannot feel it yet. Visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. What you give in faith for another does not go into a transaction. It goes into the record that does not lie, the record that does not expire. And what is in that record, my beloved, I multiply back into your own life in ways that carry both your names forward into the position already prepared. You are held, my child, not loosely, not conditionally, not subject to review based on your performance in the days ahead. You are held by the one who gave the order to assemble the security before you knew you needed it, and the one who gave that order does not withdraw it when the days get difficult. I finish what I start, and I have not finished with you yet. I have barely begun in Jesus' name. Amen.